Welcome to the educational video of building your memory palace. If you've heard this term before, or you've heard Method of Loci, which you should have already, or the term mind palace, they are all the same. Probably the most popular example is Sherlock Holmes. But you may find what you learned today to be a little bit different if you've heard of this before or it's been described to you. And hopefully by the end of this, you'll be able to use this method to memorize anything you want. The goal is to describe what we'll go over today is what is the method, how do we use it, what are some of the rules that guide this method, and by the end, you'll be ready to memorize the 25 words that we will give you in your next survey. Thank you for joining this research in advance, and we hope you have fun. So what is the method? It's a visual spatial mnemonic. But it's more than that. It's utilizing a familiar location that you know well. I usually say a childhood home. You know what your childhood home looks like. You know what this place that you're familiar with looks like. You know where things are, and you know how separated they are. So in our example, over on the right here, you might be able to see the kitchen that you grew up in. You can see the dining table or the kitchen table. You know what that looks like. You know where it is. And now let's say you want to memorize broccoli in a list that you're going to pick up from the grocery store. So you place broccoli on that locus, or kitchen table. And now every time you go and see the kitchen table, you can see the broccoli on the table and remember, oh yeah, I need to pick up broccoli from the store. That's the basics. Now let's get into how to make that image stick. Here are the rules of the palace. First, you need to use that familiar place. You can technically create your own palace if you'd like, but this works best by using familiarity as the anchor to what you want to memorize. So you've found your place. Second, you place only one image per loci or locus. So in our example before, if you're using a kitchen table as the loci, well, now if you're going to put an image on there, you can't put an image on one end of the table and then put another image at the other end of the table, because the space, the separation, that visual spatial separation is what's required to make that image stay in one place. You don't want to merge images together. So you pick one image per one dining table or one kitchen counter. Third, you want the image to interact. So it's more than just putting the broccoli on the table. We need to have it growing out of the middle of the table, like flowers that are normally on the table, something along those lines. You want some interaction to play a role. And lastly, follow the path every time. We'll do this at the end, but as you consider each loci or each piece of furniture in your house, we want you to pick a single pathway and walk through the house the same way every time. That will help you get the order of these 25 words, not just remembering all 25. So the next thing is to make it memorable. So enhancing these images is what makes them stick the most. And your 5 senses are the first step. What does broccoli taste like? What does it smell like? If you were to touch it, what would it be like? The next step is to make it funny, gross, or sexual. These are categorically more memorable. I'll let you come up with whatever images you need for the words that you're going to memorize later. But let's go with gross for broccoli. Everybody's seen a gross piece of broccoli, or maybe the thought of eating broccoli sounds gross to you anyway. That's how you memorize it. So it's on the kitchen table and you imagine maybe it's old and gross. Oh, it smells horrible. Now the image is sticking. We're making it memorable. And naturally, you're going to have some feelings. But it's important to also say, well, yeah, what do I feel when I think about this image? Adding that extra step of feeling, now you can smell it, you can taste it, it's gross, and you're disgusted. All of those elements help you remember this broccoli. Reminder of those steps. You're going to select a familiar environment. You should have already thought of it now. One more rule that I would just throw in here in general is if it's the first thing you thought of, sexual, funny, if it's the first thing you felt, go with that. That's usually the most memorable because it's the first thing that you thought of. Okay, this is the last step of this video. We want you to build your palace. So I want you to close your eyes. I have the steps and many of the things we've talked about. But remember, the end of this video, you're going to get another survey, if you haven't already, that's going to include our word list. So what I want you to do before you read over this word list and memorize it is to build your palace. So close your eyes, go in, and let's look at it. Let's see it. Is it your childhood home? Is it a place you know well? Do you know where everything is in the house? Good. You can use that. Maybe you're at the front door. Maybe you're right before the front door. But you know what the color of the front door is. You can see it in your mind. This is your first loci. You can place the first image or the first word and image that you learn on that loci. So let's walk through the door. Where are you now? Are you in a living room? Is it a walkway, a place where you take your shoes off? Is there a piece of furniture? That's what you're looking for. Big furniture items. Maybe a coat rack. You get the idea. Walk through the house. You don't have to stay in that front room. I often will walk counterclockwise through an entire home or an entire place I know well. So move along a wall if that's where you're at, and go into the next room. In my case, it's a music room. Okay, so I've got a piano in there. I've got a little desk. So those are your loci. Make sure you know where they are and that you're counting them as loci. Okay, let's do this together for a minute. Keep walking. Keep going. What's the next locus or loci? Keep going. What's the next one? Are you in a room? Is it a bed? Maybe it's a dresser. Keep going. What's the next loci? Imagine it in your mind. What's the next loci? How about the next loci? Are you in a kitchen? Where are you? What's the next piece of furniture you see? Okay, you get the idea. Keep going. And I want you, before you move on to the word list, count out all 25 pieces of furniture in this house that you're going to use and walk this path every time. This is one of our rules, right? If you started at the front door and that's where the first word goes, that's where you will always start to get the first word. Then you'll walk through that same path every time. Make sure you have all 25 loci. And remember, the goal of this is to demonstrate that you can memorize all 25 words now. You can remember them. As you make the images memorable and you follow these rules, you will memorize all 25 words. And you'll remember them in the order in which you learned them, because the first word went on the first loci, the second word went on the second loci, and so forth. Take a few minutes. Make sure you have your palace ready. And then when you get into this next survey, memorize all 25 words. And you will remember them. Thank you again for being in this research. And as you get all surveys, remember, this is the only way that you'll memorize it. But I hope by the end, you'll realize that this is a great way to remember things. Have fun.